I have played so many NES games. Some are good, some are bad, some are trash, some are weird. But let me tell you that 90% of people keep on mentioning about this overrated NES games in any retro gaming community. Twitch has awesome retro gaming community, but people are forced to play these overrated NES games because I have seen that if you play Mega Man, if you play Mario, if you play Castlevania, people will pop up out of nowhere, but nobody gives a flying F about if you play the Famicom games or underrated NES games. Let's take a look at these 10 overrated NES games that people are forced to play to grow their channels. Let's take a look at them. Well, before doing that, do not forget to subscribe because man, the inflation is rising. We gotta feed our kids, right? So come on man, don't forget to do that. Alright, let's get started. They call it a nightmare, a masterpiece. I call it a sadistic nightmare. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on the NES is a game designed to break your thumbs in your spirit. Every opponent is a memorization machine, a choreographed dance of pain waiting to punish the slightest mistake. Dodging blows is like a threading a needle blindfolded while riding a bucking bronco. And don't even get me started on Tyson himself. One missed counter and it's sliced out faster than you can say Nintendo. Sure, the graphics were cute for the NES, and the punch-drunk announcer is catchy for the first 10 times, but the gameplay, it's repetitive, it's frustrating. Is pure punishment supposed to be fun? People rave about this game, they brag about beating Tyson. What dark magic did they use? Did they even make a deal with the devil himself? Because the only thing this game teaches is the art of controller throwing rage. Maybe I just suck. Maybe everyone else mastered the art of pixel perfect dodging and lightning fast counters. But for the rest of us morals, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out is a monument to frustration, a celebration of suffering disguised as a game. This game is frustrating. Everyone raves about Castlevania 3, but they have actually played it? It's like they take everything frustrating about the NES games and crank it up to 11. Stick controls, check. Alucard slides around like he's greased on the monster's gut. Jumping feels like crapshoot. And good luck whipping diagonally. Unfair enemy placement, double check. Enemies love to respawn right behind you. Rain down, fall from the screen. And just clip with the cheat hitboxes. You will spend more time yelling at the screen than actually playing this game. Speaking of cheap, the level design is sadistic joke. Pits everywhere, instant death spikes, bottomless pits, all designed to steal your precious lives. One wrong move and it's back to the beginning. But hey, who has time for checkpoints in 1989, right? But hey, at least the difficulty is challenging, right? No, it's wrong. It's a plain, brutal video game. This is not challenging, it's punishing. Sure, mastering the whip feels good, but one mistake wipes all the progresses. And forget about the retries, this game eats all of your progress, like Alucard eats roast chicken. Okay, maybe I'm just being too harsh, but the music is catchy and the atmosphere is undeniably creepy. The branching paths and different characters are cool idea too. But these minor positives drown in a sea of frustration. So why do people like this torture fest? Maybe they enjoy feeling the accomplishment after finally conquering its nightmarish difficulty. Maybe nostalgia clouds their memories. Whatever the reason, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse isn't just a classic, it's a test of pure willpower. Avoid this one unless you have nerves of steel and bottomless well of patience. This game, Ninja Gaiden, everyone raves about it, right? The ninja action, the badass swordman, challenge. Oh yeah, the challenge alright, the kind that makes you wanna throw your controller all across the room. Let's talk about the difficulty. This game isn't hard, it's sadistic. Enemies appear out of the thin air. Projectiles home at like a heat-seeking missiles, and a one wrong jump means a bottomless pit and a cheap death. Don't even get me started on the knockback. Get hit and you fly back to the 10 feet, landing right in the path of another enemy. Then there is a power-ups, hidden, limited, and requiring a separate meter to use. What were they thinking, man? And you barely snag a nymph upgrade, unleash your fury, and barely make a dent in the enemy horde. The level design more like a troll's idea of fun. Fake walls, disappearing platforms, and bottomless pits disguised as a floor, all waiting to send you a curling back to the last checkpoint. And what's the deal with the instant death spike? One touch and it's all lights out? No warning, no escape, just pure unadulterated rage? Now some folks will say, it's about mastering the combat, learning enemy patterns, but mastering this requires a nerve of steel and patience of a saint. For every satisfying moment of slicing down the foes, there are 10 more things to do to master of pure frustration. So why do people like this game? Maybe it's a nostalgia. Maybe they conquered the beast and wear it as a badge of honor. But for me, Ninja Gaiden is a test of anger management, not a fun game. It's a relic of bygone era where difficulty trumped the enjoyment. Give me a fair challenge, not this controller crushing nightmare. Everyone loves the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game on the NES, right? Wrong. This nostalgia-fluid nightmare is a slap in the face to the gamer everywhere. Let's break the turtle shell of the game and see what crawls out first. The first thing you see is the controls. Tighter than Shredder's grip of domination. More like Donatello fumbling with his stack of boss staff. Jumping feels like navigating a pizza on the ice. Enemies flicker like they are dying TV, making attacks like a crap shot. And don't even get me started on Raffle. Who designed this character this useless? His side does not have a range of a toddler's reach anyway. Then there is a level design, confusing labyrinths, check. Unfamiliar enemy placement, you bet. Hidden bottomless pits disguised as a safe ground, absolutely. The game thrives on frustration and it's not fun. Don't forget the infamous dam level, a rage-inducing slog that will make you question your sanity. And the difficulty? Forget about it. This game throws enemies at you like a food soldiers after a free pizza coupon. Lives vanish faster than Shredder's dignity. The only saving grace April hints are cryptic and more unhelpful. Grab the thing, it does not exactly scream strategic advice. So why in the name of the almighty pizza do people hold this game in such a high regard? Probably nostalgia glasses thicker than Crank's dome. Maybe childhood memories gloss over the flaws. Perhaps the iconic franchise name clouds judgment. Whatever the reason, the original TMNT on the NES is a relic best left to the past. And there are far better brawlers out there that won't leave you wanting to throw your controller through your TV. This ain't a Kawabanga, it's a major bummer. Mega Man 1 overrated? That's not an option, it's a crime. Everyone keeps praising this clunky short mess like in the Holy Grail. Look, I get it was revolutionary back in '87, but come on, cheap enemy placements, frustrating inducing level designs with bottomless pits everywhere. This game was not challenging, it was sadistic. And don't even get me started on the bosses. Half of them are forgettable robots with predictable patterns, and the other half, they are designed to make you tear your hairs out. Yellow Devil, anyone? Speaking of forgettable, and the music is decent, but with only a handful of stages, how much can you really remember? Then there is a length. You can beat this game in an afternoon tops. Where's the replay value? Where's the sense of progression? Sure, you can tackle the robot masters in any order, but that novelty wears thin after 2 playthroughs. So why do people fawn over this thing? Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's iconic game character design. But whatever it is, they're overlooking a game's riddled with the flaws. Mega Man 1 deserves a place in a gaming history, sure, but let's not pretend it's some flawless masterpiece. It's a frustrating relic held up on a pedestal by rose-tinted glasses. Now, if you will excuse me, I gotta go play Mega Man 2, a game that actually deserves the praise. Now this game is a real love letter to the punishment. You play as Arthur, a knight who looks like he spends more time at the gym than the laundry. His princess gets snatched by Satan. And let me tell you, this kidnapping is about as fair as a greased up jousting match. Here is the thing, Others start out as looking like a badass in full armor, but one hit and oof, dude's down to his boxers, shivering like a chihuahua on his blizzard. This would not be so bad if the enemies were not deranged bestiary of fire-breathing eyeballs, flying demons nunchucks, and sentiment bouncing skulls. And the designers clearly had a wild weekend before coming up with these nightmares. The controls, about as responsive as a brick wall. Jumping feels like trying to hurdle the Grand Canyon in a clown's shoes. And don't even get me started on the pits of the instant death disguised as every other body of water in the game. Arthur must have a serious grudge against mermaids, but hey, at least the difficulty keeps things interesting, right? You will be repeating sections so many times, you will start memorizing the enemy spawn points and humming graveyard music in your sleep. So why in the name of all of the holy do people actually like this game? Here's a crazy part. Some folk find this challenge strangely addictive, like a car crash you cannot just look away from. Plus, there is a sudden satisfaction in finally conquering a level that you had tearing your hair out for a week. But hey, if nothing else, Ghosts and Goblins provides endless entertainment of your rage-watching sessions. So is Ghosts and Goblins overrated? Absolutely. But it is hilariously infuriating test of your patience and reflexes. You bet your boxer it is. Just remember, misery loves company. Grab a friend, some stress balls, and prepare to yell at your TV for hours. You might just have a terrible, wonderful time. I'm talking about Super Mario Bros. 1, that NES dinosaur everyone keeps shoving down to our throat. First off, the graphics. Look, I get it, the limitations and all, but these characters could be mistaken for rejected M&M rejects. And the backgrounds, about as exciting as watching a paint dry on a brick wall. Then there is a gameplay. Run, jump, stomp Goombas, rinse, repeat. Wow, such a variety, isn't it? And don't even get me started on the controls. Mario handles like a drunken shopping cart on the ice. 1 minute you are heroically leaping a pit, and next you are plummeting to your doom because a raw Koopa Troopa decided to play chicken with your ankles. But hey, at least there is a power-ups, right? Like the giant mushroom that makes you marginally bigger and slightly less likely to get squashed by your raw piranha plant. Thrilling at the levels. Don't even get me started. Same, brick walls everywhere. The only surprise is finding a hidden warp pipe that skips half of the game. Because let's face it, even the developers knew this slog needed a fast forwarding. So why does everyone keeps praising this fossil? Nostalgia goggles, that's why. People look back with the rose-tinted glasses forgetting the frustration, the clunky controls, and relentless monotony. They remember it as a pinnacle of gaming because it was all they had back then. Well, guess what? We have battered games now. We have glorious 3D graphics, expansive worlds, and controllers that don't require psychic powers to operate. So next time someone tries to sell you the greatness of Super Mario Bros. 1, politely listen to them and point them towards literally any other platformer made in the last 30 years. Their sanity and your afternoon will thank you for it. Battletoads holds a strange place in NES history. Adored by some for its punishing difficulty, it's easy to argue it's a bit overrated. While the graphics and sound so impressive for the NES, the gameplay suffers from some major flaws. Let's start with the big elephant in the room, the difficulty. It's challenging. It's not challenging, it's brutal. Many sections rely on pure memorization rather than skill play. The infamous Turbo Tunnel just explains this. Trial and error, not reflexes, conquers these sections, leading to immense frustration. Beyond memorization, the controls can feel imprecise at times, especially during the jumps and attacks. There's a slight sluggishness that can lead to the cheap deaths. It's a constant battle against the controls as much as the enemies. Multiplayer, a potential saving grace, is married by a critical glitch in the North American release. Player 2 can become permanently stuck, ruining the cooperative experience. This glaring oversight makes bragging rights about conquering the game a lonely affair. A level variety is all over the place. While the graphics impress, the gameplay itself feels like a hodgepodge of mini-games loosely stitched together. You will go from a beat-em-up section to the frustrating bike racing with a wonky physics. Battletoads isn't a bad game, but its reputation as a masterpiece is inflated. The punishing difficulty, control quirks, buggy multiplayer hold it back. Nostalgia can be a powerful drug, but for the newcomers, Battletoads more be like a rage-inducing than rewarding game though. The Legend of Zelda on the NES holds a legendary place in the gaming history, but through the modern lens, it can feel rough around the edges. While its influence is undeniable, nostalgia can cloud our judgment. The vast open world, groundbreaking in the 1986, can now feel empty. Lacking clear direction, exploration becomes aimless and wandering. Cryptic clues and hidden secrets, while charming then, can be frustrating now. Imagine venturing into the massive labyrinth without a map. That's an NES Zelda experience. Combat is repetitive, enemies offer little variety, and the clunky controls can lead to the cheap hits. The sense of wonder in discovering a new weapon fades as you realize the most of a niche used and quickly become obsolete. While some dungeons hold clever puzzles, many rely on trial and error, adding to the frustration. Legend of Zelda remains a landmark title, but its gameplay mechanics haven't aged as gracefully as its reputation. For those looking for a charming time capsule, it's a worthwhile experience, but for gamers accustomed to modern conveniences, NES Zelda might not be the epic adventure as they experience. This game is so much overrated though. We need to talk about the overrated catastrophe that is Super Mario Bros. 3. This game is about as groundbreaking as a stale pizza box. Sure, the graphics were fancy for the 90s, but compared to today, it's like staring at the kindergarten's finger painting. Don't even get me started on the Tanuki suit. Are you telling me that Leaf turns into a raccoon dog monstrosity that can fly? Did Miyamoto take a nap and dream this up after a bad bowl of sushi? Speaking of bad, the controls started than the mummy's rapping, more like loser than a politician's promise. You jump an inch where you mint a mile. The Copelinks, those glorified Koopa rejects. Where's Bowser Jr. when you need him? These guys are as intimidating as a bag of marshmallows. And the levels, sure there's a variety, but most of it just an excuse to throw a weird gimmicks at you like a overcooked spaghetti. Cloud levels, desert levels, who even asked for this? The music, don't get me wrong, it's catchy. But catchy is like a bad jingle stuck in your head, and after 10 minutes, you will be ready to tear your hair out and use it to conduct your own orchestra. So there you have it folks, Super Mario Bros. 3, a game propped by its nostalgia and a rose-tinted glasses. It's a time we take off the rose-tinted glasses and see this game for what it truly is, a frustrating, outdated mess. Now, if you will excuse me, I have a date with the real classic, which is known as Ice Climber. Okay, if you made this far, I understand that I might have pissed you off about mentioning these games, but man, this is my personal observation. People really need to move on from these games and play more interesting games, because there are so many interesting games out there which will blow your mind. If you agree with me and you like this video, then do check out my other live streams and other videos as well. Do participate in my live streams too. Thank you so much for watching.